Hey, OHF, O5, whatever the hell they call you. You look like a Middle Eastern guy. But I thought you had up a whole link about Savannah being one of the number one, ports of trading for the slave trade. But you had a quick Google document up there, sir? But it just talked about since 1790 or whatever it said. I tried to look at it, but you took off running when you probably saw me brought up Savannah, real Savannah slave ship manifest to actually bring, look into the context instead of looking into that whole Google search, bull. But if you come here, sir, this is the U.S. Southeast Coastwide Inward and Outward Slave Manifest. You can get it on Ancestry.com from 1790 to 1860. The reason why you don't have prior to 1790 is because, according to NationalArchives.org, the slave ship manifests were not required prior to 1807. It's just kind of funny. But 1808, they started requiring it, and that was when, if you're bringing in any slaves. So that's when you start seeing it. But by that time, the ban of importation of slaves was already banned. And why did they want paperwork on people after that? Well, that's because it was banned coming internationally. From around the world. But intracontinental trades, like going to Savannah, you can still do that. Well, there also might have been some here, but you got your foreign inward and outward. But like I said, 1790 is the earliest dates that we have. And as you click on that, what do you see? 1790, and you can actually click and actually view the damn manifest. See, people like you will like to just stick on a Google search document and just go by that. But right here you can actually see who they were and where they went. So let's just pull up. That was a manifest, but it was real basic. So let's pull up a real manifest here. I'll do it here. This is a manifest, and this talks about. So this is one here where you have passengers, Phoebe and whoever that is, Hannah, and they're coming. There's Georgia, okay, Savannah, Georgia, and they're coming from New York, intracontinental, okay, and they went to Savannah, Georgia. Ain't that funny? Here's another one, sir. And look at this. It says it's coming from Charleston to Savannah, intracontinental, sir. And let's look at the name. They're not African names. Susie, Gilbert, Mary, whatever, Phineas, Dawn, Elroy, and Rachel, maybe females. Their class is black. They could be black, or their class could be black. They could be YT. It doesn't necessarily say. They have owners. It is intracontinental. Here's another one, hard to read, coming from Charleston to Savannah, because this is the Savannah inward outward, and you see the names of them, right? You can barely see there's names, but there's names there, sir. See, you don't want to get hit in the head with these facts. Charleston, going to Savannah, names, bam, Hector. Does that look like do you know any black person named Hector? You would be an idiot. Because, like I showed you with this document from a census.gov, the slave population census document, it talks about the importations. You try to duck and dodge this, 300,000 people. It talks about the British West Indies exported to the colonies 1,380 something people, or 300 per year before 1714, okay, or during these years, 1787 to 1793. Oh, I'm sorry. That was well within the years where British exports was exporting slaves to us. And then it shows that the trade of the Negro slaves to the American colonies was too small before 1720 to attract any attention. Also, on this part, you try to throw out the lie that the people they would have asked would have been over 100 years old who would have came off the boat. No, sir, you're definitely misguided on that. And that also tells you the ages of the people in this same paragraph. So let's actually look at it and understand it. So first of all, this was done in 1850. The reason why they say you have to look for people over the age of 60 years of age, if you want to look for an original African, you're going to have to look through the population of 60 years of age for the survivors of the original Africans. The whole number of slaves in 1850. So basically what they're saying is if you're looking for a slave, you got to look for somebody who's 60 years of age by 1850, because 60 years prior to 1850 would be 1790 or prior, which would put them well within the slavery importations range of have coming over here. So 1808 is when the ban of importation of slaves had happened, right? So 60 years would put them well within the time of being stripped from Africa. And so it says here the whole number of people in 1850 that were over 60 years of age was 114,000 of those. So out of that many people who are old, how many people would say they came from Africa? This is for 114,000 of people of those 300,000 importations that are still alive. And they said of these, no one familiar with the South would admit that more than 8,000 or 10,000 were Africans. So that means less than 10%, 8% of those, if that would be from Africa. It also talks about the death certificates, but if you want to talk about the ages, usually like, oh, they must have been 100 years old. No, it says it right here. The ages of deceased Africans on the schedules generally range higher than 60, often more than 70, and in South Carolina as high as 80, 90, and 100 and 101 and 10. So as you can see, they have various ages and they're all over 60 and over, not 100 plus, and 60 years if you do real math from 1850 when this document was done would put them well before 1808 when, the ban of slavery was done, the importation of slaves to the American whatever was done in 1808, according to another .gov site. But just so I don't, go and thinking that all those, records are there. Like I said, those records don't are only from certain years, and then you got other records who have fully stated claims that are completely out of this world. So you have again a schooner boat. Okay, now this is from slave ship voyages. So the ones that don't have paperwork that are schooner boats, they show that they have 48.7 captives on top of it, okay? 48.7 captives on a schooner boat, okay? Now, this is coming from the Congo and all this other stuff. But the things that don't make sense, you got it coming from the Congo River to Georgia in 1858. But the ban of slaves was slaves was banned. On top of that, most schooner boats can barely hold up to 76 people, not 400 something, 200 something people. You lucky I don't have time where I would bust the hell out of your bubble some more, but quit playing with us. You ain't got no facts. You ain't knowing shit. That's why you ran like a